I just want to take a minute to go over the assignments, all of the little small assignments leading up to the final literary analysis of a song using allusions. Make sure that you thoroughly understand what allusions are. Allusions can be historical or literary or from mythology or from religion. Some of religious text, biblical allusions are super common. So make sure you fully understand allusions. I have videos all over the place. Here is one link. You can find others. Here's a good website that you can use to learn more about allusions and the 4 different types. So make sure that you understand what an allusion is. So read that carefully. You can see the 4 different types here. And then later on, they show you how to do an analysis. You'll notice the spelling is a little different. This is an Australian website, so still English, but different spellings. When you do your literary analysis, I would like you to, or when you start thinking about your literary analysis, you are going to have an initial assignment where I can just check to see that you really do have some song lyrics that have allusions in them. So I have an example here. I did the sample essay on the song Powerful, and I have a couple of just really clear name drops. Oops, I have a misspelling here. I need to fix that, and I will. But I need apostrophe S. So make sure that you have specific names of historical people or definite references that if you are using, for example, a biblical allusion, you should be able to find the Bible verse that connects to that allusion. So make sure that you can do that. Here's one that is a little more elusive. You may have a word that reminds you of something like the Black Lives Matter movement. The repetition of the word matter and when the song was written and the context of the song really hinted that this could be a reference to the Black Lives Matter movement, and I make that case in the sample essay. You do have the mode sheet that you can print for further instruction. The next assignment you do after you do the 3 allusions, just to have me check, will be the working thesis and work cited. And here's some examples of possible thesis statements. So you may want to pause and take a good long look at those possible thesis statements. Here are 2. So pause. You can take a look at these thesis statements. Model yours after one of these. You are welcome to use the song Sweet Home Alabama if you wish. I know there are 3 allusions in that song. There are not always allusions in every song, so don't be fooled. Don't assume there are going to be allusions in every song, but in Sweet Home Alabama there really truly are more than 3 allusions. So, and it makes an interesting song choice for an analysis because you could interpret that song in a couple of ways, at least a couple of ways, more than 2, in fact, I can think of. So you can make that interesting. A thesis should be arguable. So when an interpretation of a song could go more than one way, and especially Sweet Home Alabama could be interpreted positively, negatively. It could be more about the history of music in Alabama. If you really do some digging, you can find some interesting things to comment on and use as your overall theme that you're arguing for interpreting in the song. So consider that. If you are stuck, and don't know what song to use, it does not need to be your favorite song. In fact, it might be better if you don't use your favorite song because sometimes you're too attached to it emotionally to really do a good analysis where you can look at it more objectively and to see kind of how everything's working. So be aware of that bit of advice there. What else? The next thing you will do is the working thesis and works cited, and I showed you some examples of working thesis. Make sure that you follow the standards for doing a works cited, and I have given you sample videos, okay? You will have 4 total sources. The primary source is the song, so make sure that you cite the song lyrics, and the secondary sources, of which you will have 3 for a total of 4 sources. The secondary sources are the ones that you will be using for analyzing the work. So make sure that you can actually look up allusions. You'll want to look up the allusions in a way that makes it clear that you understand who it is that's being mentioned or what the historical event is, or like I said, if you are using a biblical allusion, look up the Bible verse. So here's an example of the working thesis and works cited for my sample essay. You will see that I have more sources than 4. You're welcome to use more. Here is the lyric primary source works cited. Again, if you have your URL at the end of the works cited for each source, you may, for my class, leave it as a link, but for other classes, you may have to get rid of the link, and it's easy to do. You just right-click on it and say remove hyperlink, and it gets rid of it. But I'm happy to have the link there, honestly. After you have your working thesis and works cited graded, please read the comments on it, especially if you didn't get a perfect score, but even if you did, I may have made a comment on something that I didn't count off for because it wasn't part of that rubric, but it may be part of the next thing. And certainly if you keep making that mistake, you will lose points on the final essay if you are clearly not reading your feedback. Okay, after the working thesis and works cited is graded, you will use those comments to revise what's needed in the works cited, because the works cited will go at the end of your outline. Here is a sample outline. You can use this if you wish as a template, if you want to open this and use it as a template, but if you do that, it will not save automatically as you download it to your computer, so don't assume it will save. If you want the outline that you're working on to be saved automatically, you need to highlight the whole thing, copy it, open a tab in the Wallace State homepage, and go to your Microsoft Office where you will create new, so you can hit create here or Word, and open a new document and just paste that template that you're using from my content there. All right, after the outline is graded, you will be writing the draft, and the draft will not look like an outline. The draft will look like a finished essay. So you should not have things like thesis or Roman numerals or any of those sorts of things that I use to guide you through the outline, or that you use to format the outline. Those should be gone in a thing that looks like a literary analysis. You will submit your draft to Upswing. Just click here, use your A number to sign in, or whatever you use to sign into Blackboard. So if you need help with that, you can certainly contact the tutor in our campus tutoring lab, and you can find the campus tutoring lab information here under learner support, under tutoring. What else will you do? As you wait for that, you can be looking ahead. Uh, the final revision will be submitted to a red link. So make sure that you know the difference between where you're going to submit your draft once you get your feedback and the final revision. Do read your feedback even on your draft. Sometimes I will comment, especially if you have in your 2-sentence reflection, if you have written something that you have a question about, something that your online tutor said, I will respond to that in your comments. So make sure that you have read your feedback thoroughly, even if you got a perfect score on the draft, because you will get a perfect score if you have written your reflection in a way that's grammatically correct and conveys something meaningful, 2 meaningful things at least in 2 sentences that you have learned from your tutoring session. But if something conflicts with what I say and what the tutor says, I will comment on that. So you want to know what I'm looking for because I'm the one grading it. So of course, if you have questions about something the tutor said, please put that in your reflection, especially if you think there's some sort of conflict, and I'll explain that hopefully very clearly where we can get that straightened out. Make sure I can see the tutor's feedback on your draft when you submit it. And your final literary analysis will be uploaded again to the red link. I do want your essay in quote burger colors. I do want an engaging title. Your works cited should be done correctly. Make sure you understand how to use quotations from songs. Song lyrics are quoted like lines of a poem. I have different YouTube videos created there for you to review that. Also, you have a quiz on how to quote song lyrics. You should. I will add that. You will have a quiz there. It will be another video quiz. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. You ask good and thoughtful questions. Oftentimes I will post responses to students' questions in the class announcements. So make sure that you are clicking class announcements daily so that you can see some extra information that I may be using to guide you through these assignments. So not everything is in each module. Sometimes things go in announcements because as questions come up from your classmates, I will post those answers there with, as you can see, sometimes very detailed explanations. Okay. All right. Good luck with the literary analysis. Again, let me know if you have questions.